Hello everyone, this is Anne from Odulcina. And today I just want to share with you a double page that I created one night this week. And I just turned on the camera, didn't record any sounds, and now I'm doing a little voiceover because that page turned out to be very, very great. I love it. So, if you're one of those who loves to see the process, this is a video for you. When I sit down to work on pages like this, what I appreciate the most is that there's no urgency and there's no expected results. I had no idea where I was going with those pages. I simply begin somewhere. I choose the papers. So in this case, I choose my new wallpaper ledger papers just because they were on the table anyway. I decided I choose about texture, so I thought I could bring in the pile of book pages where I did some modeling paste. So I brought a pile of that on my table. And I brought, you're gonna see later, I brought that page that I created a few weeks ago of faux age tapes. Like this, yeah. And I'm gonna use those all along those two pages over and over. I'm just not working with that much of stuff. And this helps me to go to the next level. I think one of the reasons creative work like making junk journals feels so satisfying is when you can simplify the whole thing and you don't have to overthink or even think the process. And for me, in order to achieve that, I need to pick my supplies and it needs to be limited. So I need to work with just few things around me, and somehow I kind of need to pick them up before my project. So I brought on my table, or I made sure that on my table I have things that matches. I don't know if I'm going to use them all or not, but I have few papers, I have few textures, and okay, so I can start with the papers, and then later on I'll bring the decorations like the laces and other things to finish because I cannot have everything on my table at the same time. But let's start with the papers. I brought around me the papers that would kind of match, can go together, more than not enough, but not too much as well, so it doesn't feel overwhelming. And I just repeat, I just play with those papers. I know lots of people think that creativity always starts with a clear idea, but honestly, very often, if not all the time, it starts without certainty. It starts with just the feel and the need to craft, with no idea where to go with that. Just with one element, like one specific paper that you really love, or a lace that you really love, it's enough to begin, and from there, the rest appears gradually. But sometimes I know we have the white page syndrome. We just even don't know where to start. So, my trick, my little tip that I can give you is when I watch a video and it inspires me somewhere, sometimes I take a screen capture of the layout of something that I really love. And when I sit on my table, I look through those pictures that I took, and it's just my starting point. I try to, I would say copy so you understand me, but I try to kind of analyze what I loved on that picture that I took because obviously I loved it. And sometimes I love just the way that it folds. Like in this example, you're going to see that this page will kind of have a flap. That was my original idea. And or sometimes it's just a way that the work has been done around a picture and the way the lace has been placed, or a little bow, or that it used like gold paint or a sewing machine and threads, and whatever the detail is, that at some point you took a screenshot picture. It's because you loved it. And we all know that we are not able to reproduce it. I'm not even able to reproduce my own creations because supplies are never the same. The way we tear papers is not replicable. The lace that we had, or the little portion of lace, we don't have another one, or it's not tiered the same way, or the pattern is different. So, but we cannot reproduce, but we can get inspired by. And we need to trust the process, that because we have an idea in our mind, this picture to kind of copy, and we have material around us, well, that's all it needs to light up our own creativity and work on the pages. So if you need a little push or a little help to not have the white page syndrome, this is what I do when I have these moments and I want to craft. And this is what I suggest you to do. So watch some videos, take screen captures, keep them somewhere. It's your backup plan. There is another thing I want to talk about. Sometimes I think we underestimate how important it is to create with things we really love. Not just taking the material that is available, but using things that immediately awaken something in us, something pleasant. Just, seeing colors that we love, seeing or touching texture that we love. We kind of have that tendency. I say we because I have it too, and I think it's general, uh, to keep our favorite items. The cutest lace and the cutest papers. We want to keep them for that page. But when does that page will come up to life if we never use it? And I think we need to think about it, because that matters more than we realize. If we work with materials that feel so beautiful to us, I think creativity becomes easier and more satisfying, because at the end we love it. And all the way through the process, we are happy and we love what we see. We enjoy what we are creating. We are excited about the project. And we all know that there's no mistakes, right? So you cannot really just scrap it. If it's cute from the beginning because you love the material, you love the design on the paper, you love the texture, you love the look of it, you love the colors, you're gonna love the project all the way through because you love the basic items. We often have that thinking that we need to have the best idea before starting to use our favorite papers or that gorgeous antique lace, and we want to keep them for that page with that great idea. But honestly, it works the opposite. So, because you use a gorgeous lace or that paper that you love, that page will become your best idea because you love everything on it. And being drawn to what feels lovely also nourishes something very essential, a kind of quiet pleasure that changes the moment. When we create in that state, surrounded by beautiful things and things that we love, it just changes the whole experience. I believe that we do not always create only to produce something. We are seeking for a moment also. So sometimes we also create just because being surrounded by things that we find beautiful changes how we feel inside. Creating with beautiful materials can feel so satisfying because the pleasure begins way before the project is even finished. It begins in the choosing, in the touching, in placing one lovely thing beside the other, noticing how they I wouldn't say interact because they are object, but how they match together and how together one levels up the other one, adding a little tear beside or adding an old paper edge like I did. It's it completes and brings up the best of the other paper, for example. And perhaps surrounding ourselves with beauty is one way to protect our inner balance. I don't talk about escaping the reality, but creating little spaces where something inside can settle. Because while we create, we are not only making something, we are also building an atmosphere that reflects something we need inside. Something soft, something lovely. Maybe that's why I'm so attracted to the shabby chic style. It is so soft, so calming, so dreamy. Even if I love other styles, I kind of always go back to that one. Maybe that's why. Let's talk about giving ourselves permission, giving the good value, and how we judge spending differently depending on how and what nourishes us. Sometimes I think we hesitate too much before buying the materials that we truly love, especially when it feels a little bit expensive. And my best example is antique stuff, antique laces, antique papers, you know, or a gorgeous ribbon or gorgeous old and fabric, French stuff, for example, you know. But there are details that immediately creates excitement because we just love them. We genuinely love them. Seeing them, holding them, honing them, there's love just there. Like this little piece of lace there. This is a French lace from Lisa. It is gorgeous. And it makes the whole difference into that creation here. So we love that. We want that. But often our first thought is, do I really need this? Is it worth the price? But when we think about it more honestly, we need to allow ourselves to think differently because we are not buying only the material. We are buying part of an experience, a pleasure in creating, a stronger desire to sit down and craft, a deeper satisfaction while we work on it and while we create. and often that changes everything. So, one beautiful material can influence the whole atmosphere of a project. It can make your page more inspiring, more satisfying, give you more happiness. And what is interesting is that many of these materials they last far longer than we can even imagine. A piece of lace that costs $5, for example, we rarely use it all at once. So we cut just a little piece and we have some remaining for other creations, other days. And often it remains available for many future projects. So that small expense continues giving long after the moment we purchase it. And meanwhile, how many hours of pleasure does it create? When we think about it, choosing it, looking at it, organizing it, arranging it in our craft room or box, special box, looking at it. Compare it to a bottle of wine, for example, where it's pricier than the laces more often, right? It's consumed quickly, the moment passes, and it's gone, but not your lace. Maybe we should not always judge creative spending too harshly because satisfaction has a value, the desire to create has value, and we should allow ourselves that value. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.